Hey guys! So I'm nice and close to you. So not doing our typical antique or crafty DIY. I am open tomorrow and it's a holiday sampler in Centerville. And what that means is you will stop by the chamber and you get a list of all the participating businesses. And then you walk around and you can taste test all of the sweets. And then they give you a little recipe card also with the recipe of whatever the treat was at that business. And so I am doing peanut butter cookies. They are a super moist, not your stereotypical peanut butter cookie. I have put kisses in them before, but I am not going to this time. And so I'm just going to, I've already made a batch and I'm gonna just make another batch so that I have plenty for tomorrow. And I'm just gonna show you how to do that. So I used to teach foods. I was a family and consumer science teacher. So this is something that's not unusual for me to do because we did a lot of demonstrations in school. And this recipe I actually got when I was in college in one of my food classes. And it was something that another girl had done. And Pampered Chef is one of my favorite products. So this is a can opener. And if you just saw, you hold it like this, twist it around. And then when it gets easy, you go the opposite direction and then it will unhook. And then there's some little jabbers here that you can, or pinchers, where you can pinch the lid off. And then it doesn't have any sharp edges on it, so you can't cut yourself. So I absolutely love Pampered Chef products. So I also have today a bunch of Pampered Chef utensils, rubber scrapers. So first thing in here, and I will type this recipe up on the blog so that you can make these, because I'm telling you, you are definitely going to want to. I'm using the same utensils that I used to make my last batch. So if they still have peanut butter or something on them, that is why. So the rubber scrapers that I have are also from Pampered Chef that I'm using today. So you take sweetened condensed milk and you're going to empty that into a bowl to start with. And my kids know that I like to get every little bit out of the jar. There's no reason to waste any. So that's our first ingredient, and I just have Hy-Vee sweetened condensed milk. And then next up, we're gonna put in peanut butter. I had a couple of things of peanut butter in the cabinet. I'm just gonna use Skippy because it was the most full. And this is also a Pampered Chef product. It is called a Measure-All. And I love it. So anything that's sticky, shortening, peanut butter, honey, you fill it up where you want it. And then all you are going to do is just push it and then you scrape off what's here on the bottom. So there's no more scraping out everything and having a ton left over. It is a lifesaver, I think. After the peanut butter, we need an egg, and I went ahead and cracked one in a bowl so I didn't have to worry about washing my hands. And then you need a teaspoon of vanilla. So then after you have those 4 ingredients, you're just going to stir it. And I'm going to use a bigger, this is, I don't even know if, this one's the large size, I think, rubber scraper. So you're just going to take and mix up those 3 ingredients. And the recipe actually calls for you to use this with a blender, but honestly, I never ever do. Now I have not made them until I made the batch just a minute ago. I have not made these for a while. But in college, and when my husband and I first got married, let me tell you, I made these all of the time. And I don't think I ever have used an electric mixer for these. So just make sure that those ingredients are all mixed up, which it looks good. And then we're going to add in our biscuit mix. So I normally get Bisquick, but they have generic brands that you can use as well. And I'm just going to measure my 2 cups here over a bowl just to catch it. And I always think the Bisquick is a little bit chunky. I always use the handle of, you know, something else I'm using to level it off. So there's one. And then I'll just take the extra stuff that's in the bowl and pour it back into the container when we get done. We'll see if I got enough. Okay, so there's our 2nd cup of Bisquick. And then now that is literally all of the ingredients. So now what we're gonna do is just stir it. I think the Bisquick or any of the baking mixes are kind of lumpy. And so the one reason that I like using this rubber scraper is because I can kind of smash those clumps against the edge of the bowl. And that way when you take a bite of something, you know, you're not taking a bite of flour, baking soda combo. So I'm going live so late tonight on Friday night because today Dad wasn't available to work, but I got my carpenter to come over. And I don't know if you remember, but a long time ago in one of the new workshops, we put in a new door, and of course, come to find out, we put the door in backwards. So we put the hinges outside and the hinges are supposed to go inside. On this last door that we did, we put the hinges inside and the hinges were supposed to go outside. So it has been quite the ordeal. And even though Marlon is a professional at installing doors and getting them plumb and level, and I have learned a lot, putting in a door that actually closes and works the way it's supposed to is definitely a skill. So all I'm doing now is just making sure that I got all of that Bisquick stirred in. So it's really easy to tell against all of the peanut butter. And then what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to chill your dough. Let's see, what's it say? For at least 1 hour. Now this is another thing that, being a rebel, I hardly ever do that. I would say never. I might stick it in the fridge for a minute or stick it in the fridge for a minute while I'm prepping some other stuff. But I normally don't even worry about it. And I think it's fine. The biggest thing is that it's a lot more sticky when you haven't let it chill. So I would say that's the biggest difference. But the batch that I made earlier, I do have in the fridge, so I'm gonna grab that. And this one's in the fridge. It's basically the same. So I do have a Pampered Chef scoop, and I love these things. So I use them all the time for the cookies. The kids will also use them for like putting muffins in. And then I have a Pampered Chef Stone. There's another one on the oven, which I guess you can't see. But it's probably my newer one because it's a little bit cleaner. But Stones, it's really hard to burn things on them. That's one of the reasons that I really like them, because I am the person who, I start doing something else and then I forget that I'm cooking. I don't remember to set a timer a lot of times. And so that's one reason that I like the stones, because I think they're a little bit more forgiving. I do think that depending on how long a recipe is supposed to cook, it normally takes longer with the stone, because I think it has to, like, the stone itself has to kind of preheat a little bit. So then I have a paper plate with just sugar on it. And just because the dough is pretty sticky, I'm having to squeeze the handle quite a bit, but I still really like this utensil. So I like putting my sugar on a paper plate because then I can fold it and kind of move the sugar around, especially as I get low on my sugar. And, you know, it's like the end of the dough, so there's really no reason to add more sugar. And then it's also easy. You can just grab it and toss it. So I scoop as many on the plate as I can. And then now you're going to use your fingers and you're just going to coat the ball. And the scoop that I'm using, this is a really small scoop. It is not the size I would typically use for a cookie, but because these are mainly just samples, we're just taste testing, I wanted them to be small, so I used the smaller one. You can put these on a cookie sheet relatively close together. On the last one, I did 5 across and they barely touched at all. On this one, I'm probably going to do 4 across. And then if you were going to put kisses in them, you would want to cook them first and then add the kisses when they come out of the oven. And then I would also suggest go ahead and fork them, even though you're going to put the cookie or put the kisses on them. And then these only take about 6 to 8 minutes to cook. So you would fill the whole sheet, obviously, and then take a fork. And I normally just gently smash it down. And I normally only go one way. I know traditional peanut butter cookies, people do crisscross, so you could do that. On the last ones, they rose a lot more than I remembered, but like I said, it's been a while since I've made these. So on the last batch, I was very gentle with how I pushed them down. And then on this one, I'm obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but I am pushing down harder on them than I did the other batch. So yeah, Bella's saying that she loves Pampered Chef too. It is a great product. So here are the ones that just came out of the oven. Hopefully you can see those okay because of the lighting. You can see I only did the one side, and some of them have puffed up so much that you can't really see them, but this is going to be what it was when, size-wise, when it was on the cookie sheet. Here's what it is as a finished product. So I would definitely use, if you were going to do a kiss, I would definitely use a bigger size scoop than the one that I used. So stay tuned for the recipe, and I'll post that on the blog. And if you are anywhere close tomorrow, then you can come to the shop. Open 10 to 4 tomorrow at 802 North Haines in Centerville. And I think the holiday sampler is going from 10 to 2. So you can get sweet treats, or sometimes they have meatballs and savory stuff as well up on the square earlier in the day. So love to see you tomorrow. Have a good night.